Right now, I want you to think of your favourite character in fiction. Now, think about their hardest moments. Zoro taking on his crew's pain, Thorfinn's revenge being stolen from him, Kaneki being tortured. Dark, hopeless moments like this tend to shine the brightest. I always thought it was strange that I often enjoyed seeing my favourite characters suffer. I mean, like, suffering is literally the opposite of pleasure, so why the hell do I enjoy this? Am I just a freak? Here I am watching Subaru go through the most agonising death possible, and all I can think to myself is, peak fiction. And a lot of people seem to agree. A character's suffering was clearly entertaining. It was obviously a different feeling to the schadenfreude we feel seeing a hated villain get what they rightfully deserve. Instead, the pleasure we derive from seeing our heroes suffering was something weirder. I want to look at two protagonists that suffer quite a bit, and check if we're all simply sadists or if there's something else at play here. Now, when you hear the words anime and suffering, the first thing that most of you think of is probably Berserk, and rightfully so. This poor fella Guts is really going through it. From the beginning, this guy's life has been surrounded by death and misery. He was literally born from a hanging corpse, like, damn, bro didn't even get to enjoy being a baby. During his childhood, he's abused and sold out to this guy by some Temu Askeladd, and years later, just as his life is looking up, the author decides to put him through the trial of his life, the eclipse. To put things simply, he's betrayed by his best friend Griffith, in the literal worst way you could possibly think of. The people who are like family to him are brutally sacrificed to demons, and his lover Casca is reduced mentally to a child due to what Griffith does to her. All the while, Guts is forced to watch the whole thing go down, going as far to sever his own arm in an attempt to free himself. I mean, seriously, Griffith's list of crimes have to be studied. Lock this guy up immediately. Now, most people would probably kill themselves after going through something like this, but not our champ. He clings on to the only thing he has left: rage. Now, this scene when I read Berserk was easily the most memorable and bone-chilling moment in the series, and it's what made me love Guts. And I'd usually find myself really engaged when he was being put through some messed up stuff, which seems contradictory as I'm also rooting for him, so what the hell's going on here? Oh, here's the thing. Guts perseveres. He clings on to whatever meaning he can find. Suffering hurts, and it's easy to give up and yield. So, seeing him endure suffering like this provides catharsis to us. Even though he's literally been dealt the worst hand possible, he endures and finds meaning in it. For him, he turns to his sword, and then rage, and then vengeance. In a world of poverty, hunger, and One Punch Man Season 3, he shows us that one can grit your teeth, suck it up, and move forward, despite having all those scars. I think this Reddit user summarizes it perfectly. Guts is a remarkable character because he should be dead or evil 100 times over. But even if his reason to face the Apostle is purely rooted in spite, he still chooses to live for that and continue moving forward. Guts in many ways represents coping with your damage. I honestly think this is why he's so popular among gym goers and self-improvers. All humans carry scars and not all of them are heal, but how we choose to carry those scars and move forward is what matters. The thing is, however, Guts has slowly been built up in an environment of suffering since the day he was born. But what if that wasn't the case? Now, imagine this. You, who for the most part has probably lived a pretty chill life, has now died via the classic truck. However, you've been reincarnated as Guts himself. Mushoku Tensei style. Would you be able to handle it? Well, although the circumstances are a lot different, our next protagonist has had to undergo this sort of thing. Natsuki Subaru is certainly no stranger to the concept of suffering, but unlike Guts, he wasn't always the aura monster we know and love. Subaru was raised in a pretty ordinary household with two loving parents. In particular, Subaru idolized his father, aspiring to be as admirable as him, and as a result for a while, Subaru was a talented kid ahead of others. However, as the years went by, Subaru begins to see his limits, and the confidence he had in himself diminishes. With no friends, self-confidence, or hope left, Subaru gives up on attending school. ReZero is an isekai though, and as the name suggests, Subaru gets to start life in another world, from zero. Subaru, like any isekai protagonist, is given an ability to help with his journeys. Return by Death. The unique ability we all know and love, causing time to rewind upon death. As useful as this ability is to navigate dangerous circumstances, he also has to deal with the, death part. While someone like Guts is accustomed to pain, and as a result, he may have been a master at handling an ability like this, Subaru isn't. It's like your body upon entering icy water. Guts has slowly accustomed to the temperature over his entire life, while Subaru has been plunged in headfirst. As a result, Subaru doesn't have that perseverance like Guts. He panics, cries, breaks down, to the point it becomes hard to watch at times. Like, these comments are killing me.
Why doesn't bro just train his shadow magic to be able to do some night shit like he is just cringe as effing loser?
So what is there even to like? Clearly something else is compelling us, as one of Subaru's most tragic and disturbing episodes is also the highest rated across all 3 seasons. Well, meet Kurt Vonnegut, one of the most famous writers in American history. One of his 8 rules for creative writing states to be a sadist. No matter how sweet and innocent your leading characters, make awful things happen to them, in order that the reader may see what they are made of. This to me is what makes Subaru's suffering so intriguing. Suffering breaks him down and exposes his very being. In one of my favourite moments in the entire series, we see him completely spill his mind after episodes of putting on a front. After trying again and again, he and his loved ones always meet a tragic ending, and there's no magical power up to save him. He instead lays his soul bare and leans on others to keep moving forward. In every arc, Subaru is put through hell and forced to confront something about himself internally. Humility, temperance, diligence, self-love. Like a Matryoshka doll, we go and uncover the layers to his ego. And these aspects of himself that he must confront go so deep that the author himself has even made what-if side stories that explore what would happen if Subaru could never overcome these burdens. What if he never asked for help? What if he couldn't forgive? What if he ran away from it all? And in most of these stories, he becomes villainous. So what does this have to do with us being compelled with his torture? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but I think the most important one is his growth is relatable. Depression, anxiety, inferiority are all things we deal with, and seeing someone like Subaru suffer so badly, yet make the right choices and evolve, keeps me engaged. Now, I do think there's a sense of morbid curiosity involved with series like ReZero and Berserk, where we're in it for the violence and gore. And also from a writing perspective, these characters would be really boring if they never suffered or faced any hardships. However, these reasons are never why series like this enter my favourites. I chose Berserk and ReZero specifically because they're very similar in the sense that both Subaru and Guts have suffered so much that the fact they have good hearts and a will to live is inspiring. They both approach suffering via 2 sides of the same coin. In Guts, suffering reveals perseverance. It shows us a man who, against all logic, chooses to carry his scars and move forward. He represents our awe at the sheer brutal will to endure. In Subaru, suffering reveals transformation. It's a sadistic tool used to strip him bare, forcing him to confront his weakest selves so he can build a stronger one. He represents our hope that pain can lead to change. So think back to your favourite character. Their hardest moments isn't just tragedy, it's the moment that they become who they are. And to me, that's peak fiction.